I could really understand your plight that you just now saw your cholesterol test and it has a bunch of numbers, including total cholesterol, triglycerides, and LDL cholesterol. And now, what this number means, and what is the science or pathology behind these numbers, and what you could do with these numbers, that is what we are going to demystify. It almost makes everybody panicky when they get their cholesterol profile. And I could sympathize with you with this mind boggling test results when you get it. So let's all demystify total cholesterol, different subfractions of cholesterol, and different ratios, meaning relationship one to the other. That way will create actionable lifestyle changes which will help us in future. We'll go through the journey, what is total cholesterol is, what is healthy levels of cholesterol is, what are the myths or misleading facts about the cholesterol, how we interpret individual subfractions and their relationship to each other, which we call comparison cholesterol ratios. This is the cholesterol test you get. Whenever you get it from any lab in different formats, you will get these things reported: total cholesterol, your HDL cholesterol, your triglycerides, and your LDL cholesterol. And then there are a bunch of ratios and how to make sense of it. Cholesterol, first you need to understand it is not bad, it is not villain. Unfortunately, we have been using cholesterol synonymously something bad, something ominous. But what if I tell you life is not possible without cholesterol? Every cell, what you and me are made up of cholesterol. Lot of hormones, including estrogen in case of females and progesterone, and in case of males, testosterone, they all are made up of cholesterol. Vitamin D, which is critical for your bone health, this food will never be digested if you do not make bile salts, which emulsify the fats, one of the major macronutrient in diet and whole paradigm of what to do with it. Cholesterol got a bad rep because we provided the wrong information. Cholesterol in itself is not bad at all, but what we do to our physiology, that makes it as a villain. If you let our body's wisdom and we follow the lifestyle which you are supposed to live, we will not have high cholesterol. We have high cholesterol because the natural homeostatic mechanisms which we have, we override them and we use our bad habits to change our physiology. The cholesterol which gets depositing into your blood vessels is carried by lipoproteins. We call them LDL cholesterols or bad cholesterols. And there are lipoproteins which pick up the cholesterol and bring it back to your liver for reuse, recycling, or storage. Is called good cholesterol. This good cholesterol and bad cholesterol is controlled by liver. 80% of the cholesterol which is circulating in your blood is not from your dietary sources. It is from what your liver makes based on bodily needs. The cholesterol which you eat is a very complex molecule. Under the effect of bile salts and pancreatic enzymes, it is broken down to its ultimate unit, which we call triglycerides. Your cells, the inner lining of your intestine, they combine it with lipoproteins and they make it chylomicrons. These are big fat molecules. These molecules are carried by special channels, which we call lymphatics, and through thoracic duct, they are put back into circulation and then liver can use them, process them. The triglycerides basically is the nutritional component of your cholesterol profile. Why we are discussing about LDL cholesterol or HDL cholesterol? Because they both do different functions. When your body needs cholesterol, your liver will produce cholesterol, and because this cholesterol molecules, they are fats or kind of fats, because these cholesterol molecules are not soluble in water, they are paired with lipoproteins and we call it VLDL, which is called very low density lipoprotein. This VLDL is sent to the circulation and the cholesterol is taken out of these lipoproteins and then it gets converted into LDL cholesterol. This LDL cholesterol is the one which gets deposited in the plaques, and that is what it has a bad rep. But unfortunately, there is inherently nothing bad with the LDL cholesterol. If we correct our physiology and we let our body's wisdom guide us, we will never ever have any problems. Other thing happen is fats, which we just now discussed, which are coming from your dietary sources. When they make it to your circulation, our liver also on the same lipoprotein loads these triglycerides. So these lipoproteins, they are not only have a cholesterol component, they have a fat component. The cholesterol is used for cell membrane functions, for endocrine functions, for vitamin D and creating bile salts. The fats or the triglycerides which are loaded onto these lipoproteins, they are the one which are used for energy, and the excessive fat is stored to give a shape to different organs, insulation and thermoprotection. I use this analogy on daily basis. These lipoprotein particles are like the delivery trucks and they have two kind of cargo. They have fatty acids on that and also they have cholesterol. Each kind of cargo it have implications which we will clarify as we go along. HDL cholesterol on the other side is a different kind of lipoprotein, or I call them towing trucks. They are the one, they bring back the cholesterol back from your body, different organ systems, arteries, and bring it back to the liver to reuse it, recycle it, and store it. Balance between how much these delivery trucks, which are delivering cholesterol to your body, are created and how much HDL the towing truck or the garbage collector which are circulating the body. So long as they both are in harmony, you don't have any plaques, you don't have any heart attacks. But once we disturb this relationship, that is the time we get into trouble and we start leading to plaque formation. I want you to do a thought experiment. With this analogy which I've given you, the delivery trucks which are delivering fats and cholesterol, and I want you to differentiate. They both are not the same. Cholesterol is the building material for your body, and fats are the energy source. But regardless, LDL cholesterol is the delivery truck. Now you have HDL cholesterol, which is the towing truck or the garbage collector, which is bringing the things back. Keeping this analogy, let's create an thought experiment. Imagine your body being a city and all your arteries are the bigger highways, bigger streets, and then ultimately these streets get to smaller and smaller. And then ultimately, in terms of your vascular, they make smaller arteries. And in those smaller and mid-sized arteries, the inner lining, like on the street, both sides, we have houses and spaces in between. Those arteries are lined by endothelial cells and there are spaces. If you have too many delivery trucks on its way, they will have crash, they will clog up these arteries, they will get into those spaces in between the houses to store, and that is where sometimes they crash. And once they crash, our immune system comes in, try to remove it from because it does not belong there, and they create a lot of chemicals. And especially when this LDL particles, when they get oxidized, they become magnet for these cells, immune cells. Then more and more cells are recruited, and there is a chemical warfare, and there is really a crime scene. Now, two things can happen to the crime scene. If our defense system eventually start clearing up, or like our HDL takes over and start clearing up, occasional crime scenes will not leave you with any kind of problem. But if you have consistently too many this delivery trucks and multiple crashes and they are loaded with cholesterol, then this cholesterol start getting piled up into heaps in between these endothelial cells, and then oxidation, and then the immune cells coming in, and they keep on producing the plaques or start closing up the artery. So long as the plaque building and our recovery efforts are in symphony, nothing will happen. Body will either remove everything from the crime scene or it will make a boundary wall with the scar tissue or a fibrous cap, and that's how body will restrain. If you get heart attack, what happens is that plaque which is being soft full of cholesterol that breaks, and then cholesterol particles are released into your circulation. In the site of the plaque rupture, lot of other cells which are platelets, they first come in, they become sticky, and they are trying to close or repair this thing. That's where our physiology and nature works against it. First comes the cells, and then lot of coagulation proteins come in and they make a clot. You might have seen, if you have a high risk for developing heart attack and stroke, or you have a diabetes, or you already have established heart disease, your doctor puts you on aspirin. And with aspirin, he's trying to nullify the stickiness of your platelets so that the other reactions do not happen. When you are looking at your lab results, you need to look at through different lenses. One is how much is the cargo, meaning total cholesterol, is being hauled into your circulation. Second, you need to know how many delivery trucks are there, how many towing trucks or the garbage collectors are there, and how much garbage from eating in the form of triglycerides we are creating. So this total cholesterol is equal to your LDL cholesterol plus your HDL cholesterol and triglycerides. So the first number which we test, it may not be true test. When you have a very high total cholesterol, it includes everything. It's including your good too. So total cholesterol usually do not give you any major information. So that's why we use this analogy of bad cholesterol, which leads to plaque buildup, HDL cholesterol, which is the garbage truck, and triglycerides is the fat which is being circulation. In the natural homeostatic biosynthesis of cholesterol, VLDL is the first particle which is created, and when it loses cholesterol, then it gets to LDL cholesterol. This VLDL, which is the main product coming from the liver, is not calculated. This is what your lab kind of guesstimate based on actuarial data analysis. And usually, so long as your triglyceride levels are not 400 and above, this formula holds pretty good. This VLDL component of your total cholesterol is a measured one. It's a calculated one and it's not measured. This is very important to understand, and we will explain more. Healthy cholesterol, the total cholesterol, even though it's a useless test because it is giving you a direction, but it's not telling you how much is your good cholesterol, how much is the bad cholesterol. Your total cholesterol may be very high. If you fortunately have a very high good cholesterol, it still be high. But as a rule of thumb, we want to keep your total cholesterol less than 200. And if it's between 200 to 239, it's a borderline. And if it's more than 240, it is definitely a issue. Misleading thing about total cholesterol is it includes both bad and good cholesterol, and we need to use further judgment to decipher it. As I said, your total cholesterol might be high, but it may be a good thing. If your total cholesterol is high and your bad cholesterol is high, obviously this is ominous. Key takeaway is total cholesterol give you everything which is floating in your circulation. It does not subfractionate good from bad. Now comes is the ratios. There are four components I talked about: total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, and whatever else is left is non-HDL cholesterol. Like we could look it into total cholesterol into two buckets. HDL is we call it good because that's our garbage collector. That's a one side of the equation. And everything VLDL, ILDL, and LDL cholesterol, that is the bad one. Reason the ratios are important is that give you insight into what is physiologically happening. So we will be comparing your ratios: total cholesterol on one side and HDL cholesterol on the other side. Second will be your triglycerides on one side and HDL cholesterol on the other side, LDL cholesterol on the one side and HDL cholesterol on the other side. These ratios give you insight into what is happening in your body. Anytime your triglycerides are high, that is giving you insight into your nutritional status. This means you're consuming simple carbohydrates, processed fats, because this means your insulin level is high. If you want to know whether you have insulin resistance or not, just guess your fasting cholesterol level, and if your triglycerides are high, that will give you insight into your eating pattern and how much insulin which is circulating. The ratio of triglyceride to your HDL cholesterol we want to maintain very low, which is less than 1.5. If it goes to 2 and above, it is really a problem that you will become diabetic and you will be at high risk to develop heart attack and stroke in future. Second equation is your bad cholesterol to good cholesterol. That is the one which we talk all the time. The relationship between good and bad for this ratio should be less than 3.5. Total cholesterol to HDL, even though this has in total HDL cholesterol already in, but we still want it to be less than 5. And then if you take this total cholesterol and take your HDL cholesterol, whatever is left is basically bad side of the equation, and you want to keep it less than 130. These tests, as I said, triglyceride to HDL is the best predictor of insulin resistance. LDL to HDL is obviously very simple and intuitive. Total cholesterol to HDL indicates some so long as you know your HDL cholesterol. And non-HDL cholesterol is very important. Focus on these ratios and this analogy which I have provided you. That way you will be able to calculate it properly. You will understand that. The key message I want to give you was total cholesterol when you measure, it has both your good cholesterol and bad side, everything combined. You have to take good out of it, that's your HDL cholesterol. Then we subfractionate the bad side based on triglycerides. Triglycerides is a surrogate marker for VLDL, and we measure your LDL cholesterol. And do you know when we are getting this blood test report, your HDL cholesterol is not actually physically measured. It is again a calculated number. So there are a lot of pitfalls. The best test to understand your cholesterol is doing the actual lipoprotein analysis. Remember, everything which is bad, or the delivery truck analogy, anything which is carrying the cholesterol to your different organs, that has a marker or a lipoprotein, apoprotein B. And we could measure apoprotein B level in the lab, and that is the test we should ask for. Second is good side of this thing, or the garbage collectors, or HDL cholesterol. They have a identity mark. They have the lipoprotein on them, which is different from ApoB, that is ApoA1, which also can be measured. So total cholesterol will give you total load. Triglyceride, LDL cholesterol will give you insight into how much cholesterol load is being in your body. And then your HDL cholesterol is your garbage collectors. But they are imperfect. We should strive to get ApoB level and ApoA1 level, and that will be very helpful to risk stratify you so that you could make appropriate changes. I hope I have demystified this thing for you, and you will be able to make better decision in understanding cholesterol. Thank you.